Hey guys, it's your boy MK back with another video. Hope everyone's well, wherever you are. Yeah, as the video title suggests, I want to talk about my plans for the future, or this month, and the future generally, and what I hope to achieve, obviously, and that's my goals, aims, and objectives, and things like that. I was thinking, like, this is a rather, the word is controversial. It probably sounds a bit harsh of an idea of mine, but and maybe God will punish me for this prayer. But if I was to say an honest prayer, I'd say anyone who's rude, ill-mannered, or rude to me, I would say, or anyone who interrupts or intrudes upon or distracts or disturbs me, I would love it if they lost their voice, because then they couldn't hassle me as much. But anyway, so that's just a little prayer I have. And it sounds a bit harsh, but it's just like when I focus on something, I never like to be distracted or things like that. And I think one of my pet peeves is when people are rude. But anyway, I thought I'd just include that in the intro, just for the sake of it. I'm not sure why, but anyway, here goes some of my plans for the future. Number 21, I did forget to mention in point number 9, I think it was, I would love to put together a group of people who I sort of trust, who, with my quirky ideas and plans, I would love to be able to discuss my plans generally, especially for my paperwork, and like what I hope to do with that paperwork, like with my ideas written on paper and all these quirky little things, like these habits I have on my paperwork. I'd love to be able to have a group where I express that with, and look at how to make the most use of that paperwork and like ideas and writing on paper and all these quirky little things I do. But because my ideas are so quirky or different, it does feel a bit difficult to imagine myself like being able to discuss my ideas or plans and my vision and all that stuff. The other thing is even just getting a vision that I sort of believe in and want to work to, and like having a compelling vision where I know what I want to do with those paperworks and like be able to make decisions and get on with things and that sort of thing. But yeah, also to recap some of my ideas and points, one of them was to sort of help artists and writers and all that if I can, as well as technologists and other such projects from Indigenous, Australian and African communities. So I'd love to help them to connect together and support each other, but also like get mentors to support them. And maybe they could teach about their history and culture as well, through stories, either through pictures or through writing or like books or things like that. I'd love to make my own like publishing website as well, which helps people to publish their works much more easily. Number 22, in the future, I hope to basically support as many people as possible, and again, like have a group that goes through my plans, paperwork, and vision, things like. But also like my bucket list, which I've talked about before. I'd love to have a group that helps me to, especially like dyslexic or neurodiverse people with so dyslexic, ADHD, dyspraxia, autism, hyperlexia, and that sort of thing, to get NGOs and organisations and individuals with those conditions. Like I myself have dyslexia and dyspraxia, possibly autism. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, getting people together and talking about the value of neurodiversity and traveling to parts of Asia and Africa. And if we can't travel for whatever reason, like because of COVID or anything else like that, or travel just isn't possible for us, maybe we could do so online, have online discussions with people from Africa and Asia and places like that, and talk about how we can help developing countries. Or I'm a bit biased, so I'd love to support countries that were colonized, like India and all over Asia, Malaysia, India, Indonesia, Singapore, all over Asia and all over Africa, Kenya, South Africa, Central Africa, and all the rest of Africa as well, as I've talked about before. So I'd love to unite them together and talk about the strengths of neurodiversity and how we can think outside the box and how that can help. Because I think having unique thoughts, thinking outside the box, not see in the academic system, they say you have to be good at these specific skills or specific things, and if you're not good at them, they sort of throw you aside, so to speak, in a lot of cases. Not everyone does that, but so there's some good teachers, but a lot of them don't know how to deal with dyslexic people with ADHD. So I think that there's a value in thinking differently, and I think that's been proven over time as well, because a lot of dyslexic people have done really well in business, and a lot of people say in business you can't really just do the same as what your competitors doing. You have to have a USP, something that makes you different. So in the school system, it sort of teaches you have to be a certain way. and I think that's not as great as it seems, perhaps. Anyway, I've sort of diverted off topic, but yeah, basically, I love to get possibly even mixed race people or other people with things in common with me, people with neurodiversity, talking about what strengths they have, and maybe even like people with physical or mental health problems or disabilities, to talk about. For instance, in parts of Africa, maybe they see someone who's got a disability and have many negative thoughts about them or prejudices. Some of them might have superstitious sort of things, which views or beliefs, where they think that people with disability are like incapable of doing things, or they believe in sort of things like witchcraft, or in some areas, or some people still believe in those old or outdated ideas, perhaps. And like, I think it'd be good if people with even physical disabilities, perhaps, and mental health problems as well, showed that in spite of their problems, they could. They still have strengths. Like, you can still achieve great things. Anyway, that point's gone on quite a lot, so I'm going to move on. Number 23, as I've often said before, I'd love to do things like fundraising to provide water, food, shelter accommodation, housing, for electricity access and things like that for all possible people. And in the case of Africans, Indigenous Africans and Australasians, I'd love to support them in terms of like tech training and things like that as well, and faster internet access. So I'd love to work on those goals as much as possible and look at NGOs or charities or even individuals who can support. And if you support my channel more, I'll be able to help more people as well. So that would be great. Number 24, again, I'd love to support countries that were colonized and get more Indigenous people from Australasia and the Americas, like Native Americans, basically, to be empowered politically, be involved in politics, be able to lobby. As I say, I'd love to have 10% of all politicians in Australasia being Indigenous people of their countries, like so Australia, the Torres and Strait Pacific Islands, and New Zealand as well. So having 10% of their politicians being of the Indigenous populations of those countries, respectively, and, or, as I say, environmental ministers and things like that, which can talk about what we can learn from history about the environment. And also, as I say, I'd love to see Indigenous presidents, prime ministers, leaders, and things like that. Number 25, I'd love to support republics around the world as well, as I often talk about. I'd love to support democracies, republics, countries that were colonized, as I say, and countries that haven't colonized others. Countries like India, which I think have never colonized other people. So India is a democracy and a republic, and it was colonized, and it's never colonized others. So it's a prime country that I'd want to support in the future financially. Although my tech projects I want to work on, I specifically want to help people Indigenous people, as I say, across Africa and Australasia, although I'm not that good at tech myself, but just with my ideas and things like that, and like encouraging other people who are good at tech to support them, and tech companies to go and support to operate in those countries, so they employ more people and train more people. And I think it'd be great, as I said before, like to have tax exemptions for supporting those people. On that note, number 26, I would love to see tax and put forward the idea of tax exemptions for empowering Indigenous Australasians, like investing in their businesses, training up in technology, supporting them politically, and things like that. I'd love to see tax exemptions for those sorts of things, like funding Indigenous Australasian projects, and again, African projects and things like that. Number 27, I'd love to have a list of the top supporters of Indigenous Australasians and again, Africans. Number 28, I hope to turn negative situations into positives, all being well. Number 29, I hope to encourage my fellow mixed race people, as I jokingly call us mutts, and also other people of colour, minorities and disadvantaged groups, to come together and support Indigenous Australasians as well as each other. And number 30, by 2030, I dream to help Africa to lead in the technology field or sector, space, whatever you call it, and in that sort of area, and also that Australasians to be up there as well, and also in terms of technology, I'd love to support those two groups specifically as much as possible. And also I'd love to see Italian football become the number one, Italy to become the number one place for football Italian club teams to be the most successful in European and international competitions. And I'd love to see wealthy owners, sponsors and investors investing into Italian football, and the Italian government offering tax exemptions for sporting such, and things like that. And I'd love to see also another thing, I knew there was something I nearly forgot, Celtic to be the most successful club in Scottish history by 2030, if not before, and hopefully win as many trophies as possible, and maybe even win 10 in a row one time, 10 league titles in a row. Anyway, sorry if I waffled a bit too much in this video, but I'm out. Peace and love.